Okay, so let's talk home prices and sales activity.
Yeah, so again, looking forward in the future, all the way out to 2029, the most optimistic people out there, the economists out there, are predicting that home prices are going to see a 26% rise nationally between now and 2029, and the most pessimistic are seeing, about a 5% increase in home prices, and then the middle of the road is about that 15-16% gain over the next few years.
Okay, so let's talk about that middle of the road group. If we look at forecasts that will project interest rate, housing rises over the course of that 5-year period. This year, we're talking 2.4%. Obviously, you can forecast what's nearly done, probably pretty accurately.
Yeah.
Now, next year might be worse as far as actual home forecasting because buyers, as they re-enter the marketplace, are still not to that sales level, right? The same as the listings.
Well, there's more inventory, some more competition.
So going into next year, expect more inventory, but more buyer activity. Mm-hmm. And as we start to dig ourselves out of this little bit of a hole we've had, we're getting closer and closer back to those historical rates. But this is a 5-year view where, usually we're talking 5.5%, 6% appreciation. Here we are maybe at half of that. It's pretty anemic.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, we're tracking inflation in all these numbers basically until we get to around 2028.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now, home sales really are expected to rise over the course of the next year. But, we were talking a year ago, maybe 10%. We barely even stayed stable across the nation.
Yeah.
Now we look at it again, and even though all of this stuff is happening, we're talking, not very big rise here.
There were some projections a year ago that there'd be a 10% increase in sales in 26. Clearly, it's a lot lower expectations now. We still expect an increase, but it's really not anywhere near the volume that, we need for a full-on recovery.
Correct. And as we look at it month by month, the number of home sales continue to be a little bit higher. So there is some optimism here.
No,
it's just
there's a
slow
stage.
burn,
Yeah,
right?
we're definitely in the recovery phase. It just is flying off the shelves, fire in our pants kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. So let's take a look at it by state because obviously, depending on where you are, it really makes a big difference. And the share of listings with price reductions can make a big difference as to maybe the attractiveness of that area or really how much that area is struggling. Outside of Oregon, us being in Colorado are at the top of the list. So that is just so exciting to see the price cut. But in all reality, places like New York, still super strong market. A lot of the Northeast is doing well there. The other thing is you look at the Midwest. The Midwest has a lot less price cuts, lower priced inventory to begin with, though, so it relatively slightly.
Well, in the Northeast, New York, only 9% have dropped prices. There's a housing shortage there right now, lack of inventory, big time.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, overall, it's not good to be dark color right here. With 27%, price drops.
It's pretty brutal putting us at the top of the list. Now, if we look at home price growth and its moderation happening, you can see kind of month by month where this has really happened.
The good news is there's still a year-over-year gain in home prices. However, so there's not like this bottom is dropping out, nationwide or anything like that. But it is definitely a bifurcated market in a lot of ways. There's good parts of the country that are killing it. There's other parts that are seeing negative, appreciation. So that's why we get only about 2.5% increase.
Now, let's compare the good areas to the bad areas. Yeah. So I think if you look at the top market in the entire country right now, Cleveland, Ohio, who would have thought we would have been talking about them? And to no surprise, Florida is struggling some of the most.
Big time.
But it is worth noting that Denver, Colorado is in the middle of the pack of the losers right now. And that little bit of price reduction and, obviously with 27% of homes having price drops.
Well, it's about an 11% swing, right, between Tampa and Cleveland too. That's a pretty big difference for sure. But Denver being at that negative 3% certainly isn't giving us any wind in our sails for sales. So it's a challenging market continues to be. If you're trying to buy, there's some great opportunities to do so. If you're selling, be aware that you need to be very aggressive with your price. You need to price it at the low end of the comps, and expect to be on the market for a while.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk median price for existing home sales.
Yeah, we've seen it break into that $432,000 median sale price for existing homes, but we're back down to about $422,000. So the last few months have been rather unkind to the market, and so we've seen that price degradation occur basically over the dog days of summer into the fall.
Yep. And as we look at change in sales price by range, you can really see here it's really taking place more so in the lower end where those sales prices are coming down. And as we get into the higher end.
Well, no, this is a change in sales. So there's less,
there are more taking place in the luxury end of things.
It's
less at the lower end.
Yeah. So certainly all the activity seems to be on, that 750 on up price point.
It tracks really well to kind of what we were seeing in the market.